All of us have mountains to climb, and every mountain begins with a belief in yourself. Every life-changing moment begins with a belief in yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. I started off my career as a photographer first, but then made my way into video. And now I consider myself more of a hybrid. I am both photographer and filmmaker. And so when we go on these trips, I love to make these little art pieces and document our trip in both photo and video, and to then create something that documents and kind of shows our trip as a memento, but then also to express what's going on in my life at that moment. My gear needs to reflect those needs, both photo and video. I want my gear to be able to do both of those things at a very, very high level. A lot of people like to take a single camera for a single purpose, meaning a photography only camera and then a video only camera. And while for client work, I love to do that, for trips, I like to have a minimalist package. I don't want to be splitting my creativity between gear and fumbling back and forth. I just want to be able to use one camera. And therein lies the problem. I'm looking for a single camera that does both photo and video at a very high level, that has great autofocus, great dynamic range, is an inconspicuous form factor, meaning it's not going to draw a lot of attention, and it's ideally a lightweight body. On top of that, and most importantly, it has the ability to switch back and forth between photo and video seamlessly. That camera is the Sony A7IV without a doubt, and I hate it. As somebody who started out as a photographer, and specifically started out with film photography, it has that tactile feel, kind of like driving a manual stick shift car versus an automatic. You just feel more engaged in the process. And the Sony A7IV feels like an incredibly capable computer that also happens to shoot photos and videos. I would love to have the best of both worlds. However, it is so good and provides so many features that it's too good to not use, essentially, especially for somebody who is starting a business, whether it's a professional photography, videography, filmmaking business where you're creating work for clients, or if you're a business owner and you need to market your products, your services, and your business in general. This is a tool that is, bar none, I think, the best tool right now that we have. The autofocus in both photo and video is just absolutely superb. At this point, if you're missing shots and it's out of focus, it's likely due to user error. Technology has come so far in the past few years that it is just incredible. Leave it on wide, it's gonna find and detect faces and focus on them. Or if you want it to track something specifically, then just tap that on the screen and it will track that object, person, car, whatever that it is, and it will track that well. The dynamic range in photo is good. I mean, at this point, if you're not shooting RAW, what are you doing? Shoot RAW, you're gonna have the best dynamic range. It's gonna allow you that leniency for if you don't nail your exposure, you can recover highlights, you can bring up shadows. Most cameras these days, you're shooting RAW, you have that leniency. 33 megapixels provides you more than enough resolution to do really whatever you want. The dynamic range in video is fantastic. I think it's approaching or around 14 stops if you're shooting S-Log 3 in 10-bit 422. You're probably like, what the heck is S-Log3? What does that even mean? It is just the picture profile that allows for the most dynamic range between lights and darks within a scene. The best example of this is the intro footage that I shot. Most of that footage is in S-Log3 and specifically 4K 60 at 10-bit 422. And that's just a fancy way of saying that it's the highest quality that this camera can deliver. And for a camera of this price point and of this range, it's just incredible that we have that ability to do that. Dual card slots are almost an absolute must for a professional, especially for wedding professionals coming from the wedding industry. Dual card slots just give you the peace of mind that you need. Full-size HDMI as a filmmaker, videographer, thank you for full-size HDMI. Canon, please give us that. That's what we're missing in Canon cameras. And the reason why that's important is because full-size HDMI is a lot more stable, a lot more sturdy as far as a port. And if those ports break off in your camera, that's a super expensive repair. Flip out screen, that is a absolute must again at this point as well. All cameras should just have a flip out screen, specifically all cameras that are both photo and video based. Quick switch from photo to video. The Sony A7IV has this switch on the top of the camera that you can flick back and forth and move from photo and video. You can also hit the record button in photo mode and it'll jump into recording video. You can choose the quality, whether it's in 1080 or 4K, and the frame rate. You can't choose what picture profile that it's in. So I can't specify if it's in S-Log3 to get the most dynamic range out of that image. Canon does allow you to do this. And so Canon's implementation of this, I think, is better. Sony's isn't bad because you still have that switch that you can flick back and forth to jump in the actual photo and video mode. But Canon allows you to specify the picture profile when you're just hitting the record button in photo mode. I should say that this feature is one that's only available in the Canon R5 and in the R3. I tested it in the R6 Mark II and it wasn't there at the time of my testing, which is about summer of 2023. No horrendous wobble. If Canon were to fix this, then in all honesty, I would probably move to Canon because I love that ecosystem and I'm impartial emotionally, I guess, to those cameras. However, the wobble is an absolute deal breaker. And in contrast to that, Sony has no issues as far as the stabilization in the body in both photo and video. In video, it's pretty good. And you can take it a step further and go into active stabilization where it crops in probably about 10 to 15% of the frame and is now stabilizing on top of mechanical stabilization, stabilizing via software, and provides you with a really stable image and also video footage. No record limits. This is fantastic for a hybrid shooter, especially if you're wanting to use this camera, wanting to start up a commercial, a production agency, or a production house. This is a great first camera to start because it's inexpensive relative to other cameras on the market for at least the value that you're getting. And to be able to set up, whether it's for a 10-minute interview or for an hour-long speech talk webinar, you can have the ability to record those things. The only thing that you have to monitor is power. And segueing into that, the battery life here on the Sony A7IV it's great. 2 batteries really last me all day as far as my trips. All in all, this is the closest camera to perfect for hybrid shooters, but not just for photo and video professionals, also content creators who are making content on TikTok, social media, for business owners who are wanting to market their business, product, or service. This, I think, is the Swiss Army knife and would be the camera that I would recommend right now and for probably years to come. And lastly, just remember that this is a tool, and while it is an incredible piece of kit, it matters more who is using it and what you are trying to achieve in using this camera, whether it's more business, more money, more attention for your social media accounts to express whatever it is that you have going on, whatever it is that you're feeling. What matters more is the intent there and what you're trying to achieve and your ability to believe in yourself that you can go do those things. My name is David J. Orozco. This is The Authentic Photographer, where I create videos for gear reviews, for tutorials, videos for photo, video professionals, but also for people in general who are wanting to pursue a creative life. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. I just recorded this whole video and realized that I had only armed the audio recorder and that it wasn't actually recording. Yeah, so.